This here is another viewer's dirty gaming PC. It's also very smelly. Now, I don't know about you, but something is really driving me crazy about the fact that this is supposed to be a matte black or an otherwise blacked out themed PC build, and it doesn't look black because there's just so much freaking dust everywhere. In fact, I would wager that at one point in this system's life, it was sitting outside, probably for a good while, and if it wasn't sitting outside, I have some other questions. Genuine concerns. This thing smells strange. I know I mentioned that a bit earlier, but it smells almost like fruit. I know. Rotten fruit, but sugary rotten fruit. Anyway, yeah, you don't want to know. I'm trying my best to explain it with words, but it's rough, and it's really making my allergies go haywire. I think what we're gonna do first is take this outside and hit it with a leaf blower. I don't like doing that just because there's a small risk of like overspinning the fans. That can damage the bearings of the fans, although I expect we'll be replacing most of these anyway. I don't want to take this apart in here. Even though we're not going to be cleaning anything at that point, dust will still just fly everywhere, and I don't want to have to deep clean this 3 times in a row to get it back to, you know, suitable living conditions. My office, I'm referring to, not the system. This will be deep clean no matter what. So, yeah, I guess stick around for the ride. I think you'll enjoy the transformation here. Stay with me.
To get rid of that annoying Windows activation watermark, head on over to VIP SCD Key. Purchase a Windows 10 Pro OEM key for a fraction of the price of retail. Just use a secure payment method like PayPal, enter your product key into your PC settings window, and say bye-bye to the watermark. And be sure to use our offer code SKGS for a sweet discount.
Hey there. My name is Greg, and this is the PCDC playlist, which stands for Personal Computer Deep Cleaning. The goal of this one is to reach out to folks in and around the Orlando, Florida area and offer to deep clean their computers for free. That's right, we don't charge a dime so long as they're okay with us filming these processes and taking a few days to do so. The cleanings themselves take maybe 24 to 48 hours in total, you know, disassembling everything, literally down to like bare PCB, bare screw, and cleaning and then reassembling and then filming throughout that process, usually about 2 to 3 days. As I said earlier, this system is freaking gross. There are a few different fans. It looks like we've got NZXT fans at the top and rear, and then we have one larger 140 mil Thermaltake fan up front, and then again a Cooler Master Hyper 212 tower cooler of some sort. I'm not sure which variant it is. It looks like the 212 black or maybe the 212 RGB, I'm not sure. The graphics card looks like 1660, maybe a 1070. I can't tell on the sticker what it is. I should have all of this down on a piece of paper somewhere, but I don't. Alas, this is an Intel platform, looks to be Z270, Z370, so we will check under there. I do think that a cooler upgrade is going to come in very handy for them, and we'll be swapping it out with a Be Quiet variant you'll see later on in the video. The case, of course, an NZXT H510 with the sealed off front panel. That's part of the reason why it's so dusty in here. You don't really have a lot of space for air to work its way in through the front dust filter on the side, so what happens is the graphics card, as it pulls air in from below the shroud, will naturally have air move in from the back. And back here, where these PCI slots are, you don't have dust filters. So unhindered dust just flies right in and settles atop the basement, atop the graphics card, in the fan blades. Yeah, this one's real gross. And again, it smells. The smell is so strange with this one. Now, a personal touch I like to leave on builds like these is cable management. It's a bit extra beyond just the deep cleaning aspect of this, although you could argue that cable management is a part of cleaning a system. I like to try to fix it up a bit better than how it looks when it comes in here. And again, that's like my personal touch, my own personal little signature on the build, and I take pride in cable management where I can. So I'm going to not only deep clean this, but we're also going to try to clean up the cable management on this side of the build, as well as behind the motherboard tray, where I'm sure it's probably a bit rough. I mean, if it looks like this in the front, I mean, golly. So, with all that out of the way, let's get to the cleaning process, starting first with taking this thing outside and hitting it with a leaf blower, because that just makes the most sense to me right now. Hope you enjoy the music. Sit back, relax. I'll get back to you later. Here we go. And here we are, we have made it to day 2. And we've allowed everything to basically dry overnight. What little water remains, especially in the heat sinks and things that we cleaned outside. I usually hit it with the air gun, but not all the water gets out of there when we do that. So letting things sit overnight allows that water to evaporate, just so that we're on the safe side before we reassemble. Speaking of, we need to start first with this case. We'll get it together, and then we'll work on the platform, throw it all in here, and power it on, make sure it all works. Are you ready for round 2? Here we go. And here we are. Oh wait, we're forgetting something. CPU cooler. I told you I was gonna be upgrading that. Well, you know, shipping issues there. We have this bad boy, the Be Quiet Dark Rock 4. Now I'm sure by this point you've heard of this cooler, but there are a few important features I want you to know about that, well, kind of set it apart from the competition. To start, the first thing you see at the front of the box here, this beautiful 135mm Silent Wings fan will not only keep your temperatures nice and low, but also keep your system nice and quiet under load. You'll get a beautiful black ceramic coating construction over the aluminum fin stack, as well as the copper heat pipes. Speaking of, let's go ahead and do the lovely peel. Oh yeah. And this is just my personal opinion. I think the coolest part about this thing is the fact that you get an awesome screwdriver included with the kit. I mean, come on. How cool is that? But if you still have your doubts for whatever reason, fear not. The advertised 200-watt TDP is sure to keep even some of those toasty CPU temperatures out there in check. So now let's get this thing in here. I'm gonna show you how to install it step by step. Keep in mind, these are the Intel instructions. They'll vary slightly for AMD. Now we're gonna wanna kick off the install with this bag of Intel components. We're gonna thread these little screws through the inner portion of the cutouts around the bracket, and then we're gonna wedge one of these rubber band retention things onto the top side of each so that it's locked in place like so. We're gonna thread the back plate through the cutouts in the motherboard and use these little retention screws to lock everything in place. With the case laid flat, we'll get these retention clips locked down. Make sure you don't forget thermal paste. We're gonna set this clip right on top of the cold plate in this cooler. Position it minding text orientation. You can see we don't want our Be Quiet logo to be upside down. And tighten things down even further with 2 included Phillips screws. What am I saying? Of course they're included. All right, this thing is good to go. Now we'll just get the fan situated. And look at that tight fitment. This would otherwise occupy the very first DDR4 slot, but we're only using 2 DIMMs here, so we are A-okay. And here we are, the moment of truth. We shouldn't be too surprised that this works. It's not like this is my first rodeo, but
always good to check because you want to make sure that these things work before you give them back to their owners. And it looks like we're going to get a very quick post. There it is. There's the Msi Splash Page. That is awesome. So, you know, with tweaking some fan curves, it sounds like things need to be calibrated a bit. We will have a very quiet system now thanks to that Dark Rock 4. We've also got two other Lightwings fangs up front. Remember, we added those. I didn't talk about them, but they are an extra, very nice addition, I think, to this otherwise blacked out build. Just subtle RGB, but it looks really good. And yeah, like I said, just tweaking the fan curves a bit, the system will run very, very quiet. Well, this was it's quite the transformation, if I do say so myself. Not only because we obviously swapped out and upgraded the CPU cooler, but because we were able to pretty much deep clean everything. And this case especially looks almost brand new. Of course, the graphics card's looking a lot better. Still a bit iffy back here in some of the ports. I can't really get in there and clean those, but oh God, pretty much every other spot I could think of with the exception of the PSU that I don't really like tearing down just because I don't like showing people how to do that and give them this kind of like underlying confidence to be able to do it because there are things in here that could harm you. But everything else, like I said, looking really good. So hopefully the viewer is satisfied with this one. And again, we made sure that it posts and all that, so it's ready to be dropped off again. Now, if you or somebody you know has a very disgusting system and you want to see a deep clean here on this channel, be sure to submit a form. It's linked in the video description. It's actually in every one of our PCDC video descriptions, at least it should be. And there we'll ask for some photos of your rig, of course, a description of the components inside, specifications, things like that. And of course, it needs to work as well. If it doesn't work, I guess it could both qualify for fix or flop and PCDC if it's also dirty, but I don't know. We kind of sort of ran into that once or twice, but usually it's either they're very disgusting or they just flat out don't work. But either way, we do have forms for both of those if you are interested and you live in and around Orlando, Florida again, or are willing to at least drive to me. No, we do not accept shipments of any kind. I get asked that all the time. No shipments. I don't want to deal with that liability nightmare. Now, with all that said, if you enjoyed watching this video, if you enjoyed seeing the transformation play out, the time lapse, the music, etc., let me know in the comment section below, and by giving this video a thumbs up, that would be greatly appreciated. If you have not subscribed yet, consider getting subscribed. I don't know what the heck you're not subscribed for. Come on, we do stuff like this all the time, so if you enjoyed this, be sure to give us that support. That is appreciated. And yeah, stay tuned for, again, the next one. We have another fix or flop coming up, and then a PCDC right behind this one. It's also quite disgusting. So, yeah. There's that. We're only 3 episodes deep into this playlist so far, so it's gonna get a lot worse, folks. Don't you worry. I was like trying to like build up to this climax around episode 9 or 10, where it looks like a desert in the case. And surprisingly, or I guess I shouldn't really be surprised, it's not all that difficult to find really nasty cases. You just have to find really old ones, or ones that have been sitting in warehouses for a good while. Those are the ones that are most satisfying to clean in my book. But these are viewer builds, and yeah, they might not be the dirtiest. Obviously, there is much dirtier out there. There's always someone in the comments, oh, I've seen a lot dirtier than that. That's not dirty. It's still dirty, okay? It's just not the most disgusting, but because these are viewer builds, I want to give these priority because obviously they're using them, and especially in this market where it's very difficult to upgrade, especially like the graphics card, to kind of revamp your system. People are just sitting on this older hardware. They're still using it, but it is getting quite old, and usually that comes with some dust. So again, that's why this playlist exists, to kind of tie us over until those graphics card prices come down. And even then, I imagine I'll still be keeping up this playlist as long as you guys enjoy it. That's enough rambling for now. My name is Craig. Thanks for cleaning with me.